Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Rhonda Farrell, the founder of CSTGIA, bringing you week 17 from strategic cyber control to strategic cyber assurance, sustaining outcomes in a contested AI accelerated environment. So, over the past several weeks, we have moved through a deliberate and necessary evolution, introducing defensive autonomy, elevating cyber resilience, expanding to ecosystem resilience, establishing institutional control, advancing strategic cyber advantage, moving to strategic cyber leverage, and then directing it towards outcomes consistently in our cybersecurity battlefield. Now, week 17 addresses the next and most defining question. Once our outcomes can be controlled, how do we ensure that they hold over time across disruption and under adversarial pressure? Because in 2026, capability enables, advantage positions, leverage applies, and control directs. But assurance, well, it sustains our competitive advantage. The 2026 reality is that control exists, but persistence is not guaranteed. Across global cyber activity, a new pattern is emerging. Organizations now have AI-enabled detection and response, defined governance structures, improved decision consistency, greater control over execution, and yet they are still vulnerable to degradation over time, drift across teams and environments, loss of control during prolonged disruption, and inconsistent outcomes under sustained pressure. This creates the next gap that we're talking about today, and that is control without endurance. Because our emerging risk is control that doesn't hold. Many organizations can now execute consistently in the cyber realm in very controlled conditions, maintain alignment across interconnected systems, and deliver predictable outcomes. But they struggle when pressure is sustained, not episodic, when the conditions change faster than our systems can adapt, when leadership shifts occur, and when our adversaries intentionally target our system stability. Meaning, control is achieved once or often, but not sustainable over time. And in cyber environments, temporary control is not enough. So the next evolution is strategic cyber assurance, because to lead in 2026, our organizations and leaders must evolve again from strategic cyber control to strategic cyber assurance. This means designing systems that sustain outcomes across time, not just moments, maintain their integrity under continuous and very deep pressure, hold alignment across leadership, workforce, and operations, and reinforce control even as conditions evolve. Assurance is where control becomes durable power. What strategic cyber assurance actually looks like may be explained by what it's not. It's not perfect security. It's not static control. It's not risk elimination, because let's just be real, that's infeasible. But it is the ability to sustain consistent outcomes across extended disruption, maintain decision integrity through change, ensure systems behave predictably over time, preserve alignment across policy, people, process, and platforms, because assurance is not about achieving control once. It's about proving control holds continuously. The 4 moves to building strategic cyber insurance is: number 1, we need to move from repeatable execution to enduring execution. Control requires consistency, at the near term, but assurance ensures consistency over time. High-performing organizations are constantly stress testing their execution models continuously, reinforcing decision pathways across interruption cycles, and designing systems that do not degrade under pressure. The shift is we execute consistently, i.e., even though we're executing consistently, it doesn't mean we're adapting dynamically. Thus, we need to sustain execution under that dynamic pressure. Number two, from outcome assurance to outcome validation. Control assumes outcomes will hold. Assurance requires continuous validation because there is a dynamicness to our cyber response arena. So this includes real-time performance monitoring, feedback loops across systems, continuous testing under simulated disruption. The shift, well, it's from trusting outcomes to verifying them continuously. Think of our DevSecOps on a daily basis. So from capacity discipline to capacity endurance. Week 16 required us to control capacity. Week 17 requires us to sustain the control in dynamic situations. Organizations must prevent capacity erosion over time, maintain disciplined allocation under pressure, avoid regression into reactive patterns. The shift is from controlling capacity to protecting it from decay. Fourth, from mission assurance to mission persistence. Control ensures mission continuity. Assurance ensures mission persistence under sustained disruption. This requires long-duration resilience planning, cross-systems endurance modeling, alignment across leadership transitions, and consistent execution across evolving conditions. The shift is from guaranteeing mission to ensuring it endures. So the workforce reality is that assurance is a cultural and structural discipline. Strategic cyber assurance is not technical. It is behavioral, structural, and reinforced through our leadership systems. It requires leaders who reinforce discipline over time, not just in moments. Teams that operate consistently across conditions. Organizations that reward endurance, not short-term output. Workforce alignment that persists across change. And in 2026, cyber control is designed, but cyber leverage is applied. Cyber assurance is sustained by culture and structure. So what is the strategic implications for 2026? Organizations that achieve strategic cyber assurance will sustain outcomes across extended disruption, maintain decision integrity over time, prevent regression and system drift, strengthen trust across stakeholders, operate with long-term strategic stability. And organizations that do not, well, they will lose control under sustained pressure, experience gradual degradation, depend on individuals for stability, introduce variability into execution, struggle to sustain advantage. The difference is not control. The difference is whether control holds. So our week 17 reflection is for us to ask ourselves and our organizations, or of our organizations, where does control degrade over time consistently? Where do systems perform well initially but not sustainably? Where does pressure create drift in execution? Where is capacity slowly being reabsorbed to low-value activity? And where do we assume outcomes will hold but do not validate them? If the answer is unclear, assurance has not yet been achieved. So we need to take a week 17 action, and we're asking you to conduct a cyber assurance stress test, identify one mission critical system or function, evaluate whether it performs consistently over extended periods. Does execution hold under sustained pressure? Are outcomes continuously validated or assumed? Is capacity preserved or gradually eroded? Then take one action. Reinforce one system over time, validate one outcome continuously, eliminate one source of drift, because assurance is built through sustained discipline, not initial design. So our closing thought today is the cybersecurity challenge of the past was protection. The challenge of the present is resilience. The challenge of the future, it will be continuous assurance, because in 2026, we are not just detecting threats. We are not just shaping environments. We are not just directing outcomes. We are ensuring those outcomes endure no matter the dynamic conditions. And the organizations that lead will not be those that achieve control once. They will be the ones who can sustain it continuously, predictably, and under dynamic pressure. Again, this is Dr. Rhonda Farrell, the founder of CSTGIA, bringing you Week 17, from strategic cyber control to strategic cyber assurance, sustaining outcomes in a contested AI accelerated environment.